Welcome back, everybody. As you probably guessed from the title of the video, this is what we are going over today. This is the Savage or Stevens 320 security pump action 12 gauge shotgun. So you'll see it marketed as both Savage and Stevens because Stevens owns Savage. So that is the relationship there. But it's basically a budget shotgun that is a clone, and they don't really hide it. They kind of talk about it in their marketing material. It is a clone of a Winchester 1300, which is not made anymore. I do have two of those though, and they're fantastic shotguns. And I suppose what we're going to do today is sort of work our way through the features of the shotgun, tip to butt, and then at the end we'll go over how it's performed and what I think of it overall. Before we get into all the details on the shotgun, I want to thank the sponsor, and that sponsor is Gunspot. Gunspot, for folks that don't know, is an online website where you can buy and sell firearms related goods like scopes, silencers, sights, whatever the case may be. It's very easy to use. You just create an account, then you log in and you can start bidding on items. I'm sure there are some of these over there on their site, as well as many other things to include, like I said, silencers, NFA items, machine guns, pistols, you name it. If it's firearms related, it's over there on the site. And again, thanks to Gunspot for sponsoring the video. Let's get on with it. Starting out here at the end, it does have a fixed cylinder choke, so you can't throw any aftermarket chokes in there, but you also don't have to worry about screwing anything in or anything like that. And again, it's a basic defensive shotgun, so that's perfectly fine. It has the gold bead there, front sight, and they do offer this with ghost ring sights if you're interested in that. Street price, it comes to about $30 or $40 more, but most folks, in my opinion anyway, are going to be able to do just fine with that bead sight. It's been getting it done for over 100 years with most shotgun needs anyway, in most shotgun distances. So moving on down, we do have our magazine tube end cap. On there, it has good knurling for disassembly, which is nice. This gun is super easy to clean and maintain. If you want a video on that, let me know, I can do that. But we also have a sling swivel point, attachment point there out at the end. And there are aftermarket companies that make extensions for this. There's only two that I know of, and they only make a 1-round extension, which is a little bit weird compared to like a lot of the Remington and Mossberg extensions that are 2 or 4 or whatever the case may be. But just know that you can get an extension if you want to, because it does have a 5-round tube magazine. So 5+1 is your capacity from the factory. That is with either 2 3/4 or 3-inch shells, and again has good knurling on there. The barrel itself, I didn't mention that, should have is 18.5 inches, so don't have to worry about any super long barrel, but it's also not going to get you in trouble with the law being an SBS or anything like that. Our forend here is interesting. There's some pros and cons to it. Back here, it has good texturing to it. I also like the fact that it has this little cutout right here, because for me, that's where I like to put my hand, because I'm 6 feet tall, but if you're a little bit shorter, you might want to put your hands back here. Either way, you do have a good grip on it and good amount of leverage that you can put on it due to the shape and texturing of the forend. So basically, if you're up in the firing position, you can see there, that's kind of how I pull it back with my height. But one con of it for sure is that it does cover the receiver. So some of your aftermarket, like shotgun cards that you're going to stick on there with Velcro or whatever the case may be, won't work because of the way that handguard comes back. Now, they do make aftermarket ones that are relatively inexpensive that'll hold 4 shells that fit right here, and you'll get an extra 4 shells on it. But guys who want to run like a 6 or an 8 shell on the side, you just can't. Just know that going forward due to the shape of the forend. It does have dual action bars on there that are steel. For the money, it's a pretty smooth action. The Winchester 1300 was known for that, so this is no exception in that regard. Continuing on back there, our receiver is drilled and tapped for an optics rail. If you guys want to put one on there, they are available. They are out there. The bolt itself is a rotating bolt there, again, just like the Winchester 1300. So when it actually locks into place, you can feel it rotate in and lock in. It's a very positive, smooth system, like I kind of already alluded to. One thing though is that if you're just playing with it like I did there, the way that head goes in, if you're holding down the release lever, it will do that. It'll come out of battery just because it's so smooth. So good thing there. Our safety is located in front of the trigger guard, which is nice. So for me as a right-handed shooter, a lot of folks are used to the Remington 870, which is behind the trigger guard, and I would always activate that with my knuckle. With this one, I don't have to. I can just be up in the firing position, hit it, come back, pull the trigger. So it's very, intuitive in that regard. Trigger guard is polymer, which I do like. Some folks like the steel ones, but I've seen the steel ones get bent. The polymer ones, in my opinion, are a little bit more durable. I realize that's a controversial statement, but I'm sticking with it. Our loading port here, As you can see, goes up and down relatively easily. It does have a high vis follower there to let you know that you are empty. And what I like about it is that there's no sharp edges anywhere on there, because a lot of shotguns, particularly budget shotguns, when you go into feed 'em shells, that you'll cut yourself on there, and that absolutely is not the case with this particular gun. The actual stock on here I really do like a lot. It's very ergonomic. If you guys have ever used the Magpul SGA, it feels a lot like that in your hand. The grip angle is very, very similar, and we have a generous butt pad back here. It's probably a 1/2 inch at its shortest and probably an inch out here at the end. So it's a relatively lightweight gun. And when you're firing full power buckshot, which is what I fired almost exclusively through this during the test, it does help to absorb some of that recoil. A pump action shotgun, if you're not used to it, does have a good amount of recoil compared to other home defense options, let's say, out there on the market. So just know that going into it. But overall, it just feels really good. You don't have to kind of cant your head to get on it. It's just a good ergonomic stock and lets you get right in line with that bead. When going over the features there, I did leave off that it does have a sling attachment point here on the stock as well. But with that, I think we've covered most of the basic features of it. So let's talk about performance. So right now I have just over 600 rounds through this gun. And like I said, overwhelming majority of that has been buckshot, Rio 12 gauge for anybody wondering, and double-aught buck. And we've had 0 issues in terms of reliability. However, on the last magazine that we were putting through a tube of magazine, the first shot, for whatever reason, when I pulled back on it, it was a little bit sticky. Now that could be me not yanking on it as I should have, but that's the only time that we had any sort of issue. But all I did was pull harder and it came right out. First time that happened. Don't know what happened. That said, again, at that point, it had 600 rounds and it had not been cleaned. So very likely if I just clean out the chamber, that won't happen again. But in terms of reliability, it's been very reliable, which is what I like. Obviously, we talked about the action being smooth to come back. One thing that I like about that, particularly for a budget-oriented gun, is that it minimizes, it doesn't eliminate, but it minimizes the chance of a new shooter short chucking it just because it's so easy to come back on it. So that is good. That is definitely something that people need to know, though. If you are buying this for a home defense gun, definitely practice with it. The 12 gauge has some intricacies to it with a pump action especially that you have to be used to in order to use them effectively. But again, this one has had 0 issues at all in terms of that, and that's kind of to be expected because again, it's a Winchester 1300 essentially under a different brand and under a different manufacturing facility. So speaking of that, that's going to be a con for some people. This one is made over in China. Stevens they actually built the new factory for these guns. So in terms of manufacturing process, it's state of the art in that regard. You're not going to see any imperfections on machining, milling, anything like that. The fit and finish is very good. One con, I guess, that we'll throw on there too is I had a little bit of rust, but we are down here in Florida right now, and it's been shot in North Carolina a bunch as well. So very hot and humid environments. Can't really ding it, but just know that it's not like an impervious finish to rust, but a little bit of CLP will take care of it there for you. In terms of pros, we've kind of gone over them. There's a lot of pros to this shotgun. Again, they do have aftermarket support, which is nice. Another con that I would say to it, if they ever make like a version 2.0 of this, I would like to see the ability to mount a light built into the handguard. So either like an M-LOK slot or a 1913 slot on there. So that way when you're pumping it, you have full control of the light with your thumb. As it stands now, you can definitely buy one of those universal magazine tube mounts and mount it on there and mount a light. That said, every time you're racking the shotgun, you lose the ability to manipulate that light. It's better than nothing for sure, but it's suboptimal in my opinion. That said, if this was my gun and I was going to use it for a defensive gun, I would just drill out a couple holes and mount the 1913 section on there. That's what I would do. Would have no problem doing that with a defensive gun, particularly one that costs what this costs. So let's go over that. This gun right now, as of when I'm filming it, you can buy this gun for under $200. So in terms of the amount of performance that you get for the money, it is very high. Like I said, it's performed extremely well. It patterns well. It's been super reliable. The fit finish is very good for a gun, particularly one that costs $200. It's kind of hard to be mad about that. And of course, there'll be a link down below if you guys are looking to pick one up. Full disclosure, Savage did send this out for the video, but the reason I requested it is because so many of you requested that I review it, because I tend to do a lot of budget shotgun reviews around here. So add this one to the list. It definitely is a good one. One thing, again, that I would do if there was a version 2.0 of this gun, I would make the release lever button rather a little bit bigger. It's a little bit small, but obviously it's perfectly usable, but I would like it to be a little bit enlarged over what it is. But with that, I suppose that's pretty much all I have on the shotgun. If you guys like this type of video and you're not subscribed, definitely hit that subscribe button. If you've done that and you've hit the notification bell and you're not seeing 2 to 4 videos a week here on the channel, there is an algorithm blocking you from what you see. And in order to get over that, you can sign up for my email list at the website here on your screen. That email only goes out at most once a month, and generally not even every other month maybe. And it just has all of the videos since the last email went out. So that way there's no big tech censoring you from my content. Additionally, if this thing goes on sale, even more than it already is, we'll throw it up in my daily deals email. That email, to sign up for that, the website here is on your screen, and basically, as the name indicates, it goes out every day with 6 or 7 of the best deals that I find across the internet. And that way you guys get to save some time because I do the looking for you, and you get to save some money because if it's in that email, it's the cheapest that I know of at that time, anywhere on the internet. I won't send it out if that is not the case. So there is that. I suppose we'll leave you with that. Thank you for watching. I truly appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing everybody in the next video.